Hello everyone, I'm Bree, or Bree Made Me Do It on social media. I am a 3D artist and designer based out of Seattle, and today we're going to be talking about my creative process. We'll take a look at a few projects and really dive into them, break them down, and see my process and how I work in Cinema 4D. Before we start, I just want to say thank you so much to Maxon for having me and everyone behind the scenes that's making this possible. I'm super thankful that everyone's still staying connected and we're all creating and being together still, even though it's virtual. So with that said, let's begin. So for a little background on myself, I attended Ringling College of Art and Design from 2014 to 2018, which I definitely fell into by chance because I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I didn't even know what motion design was, but I remember seeing a reel for the first time in high school and just thinking like, wow, this looks so cool. And it looks like a fun job. Like, I don't want to sit in an office all day. I want to make art. And so I eventually applied to Ringling to study motion design, which I got into, obviously. And I realized that I was actually good at what I was doing, and I was really passionate about what I was doing. And so I started learning Cinema 4D among other things, and I really started to fall in love with 3D space and the freedom it gave me. But the whole time I was in school, I just felt so much pressure to figure out what I wanted to do, and I would constantly be comparing myself to everyone in the industry because I'd be seeing their amazing work, and I felt like my work was really falling short, which now if I think back to that, it's like, I was in college, I was learning, but I had that hunger to create. And I also realized that there weren't a lot of women doing what I wanted to be doing, which was 3D. So I never really had a role model to look up to that I could relate to. And that kind of made me lack the confidence to know that I could succeed in this industry. And I pretty much felt like an imposter for as long as I could remember. I've accepted awards as an imposter in school. I got hired in school as an imposter to work at Amazon. Here's me showing where I'm going to be working upon graduation as an imposter. Here's me at Buck as an imposter, waiting for them to figure out that I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. I've done a few panel talks as an imposter. I even got my picture on the wall as an imposter. And finally, where I am now, I'm at Facebook Reality Labs currently as an imposter, also waiting for them to figure out that I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. So I think it's kind of funny to joke about this because I remember the exact moment when I realized that, holy shit, everyone thinks the same thing. I remember I was at Buck and I was talking to some of the people that I was just like truly inspired by my entire career and looked up to, and they were telling me that, yeah, I'm waiting for Buck to figure out that I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. And yeah, like I pretty much think I suck. And to hear that person say that, I was just like, what are you, so is this life now? This is just what we feel? So if I have any words of advice to give anyone today, is just to keep going and be kind to yourself, and just know that everyone feels the same way, and don't let it stop you from creating. But with that said, let's actually dive into my work and what I enjoy doing. So shame on me because I have not released a reel in a very long time, but I do have some pieces in here that I really enjoyed working on, both client as well as personal work. Love super bright colors. Character design I'm in love with. I think it's super fun. I do 2D and 3D, but obviously my preference is 3D, as I was saying before. Yeah, so the character project in here is actually something I'm going to be breaking down today, as well as this Microsoft Office project. So first, let's jump into the Microsoft Office project, and I will start by playing it. scene I'm going to be walking you guys through very quickly, and there's a few things that I want to show you in terms of my workflow, of how I clean things up and kind of optimize my scenes, how I organize them, which you guys should all be doing, and shame on you if you're not, because it is a nightmare to work in a messy file if you're working between people. So we'll start off with like my general workflow and how I organize, and then we can move into some materials. So with that said, here's the frame I did for the project. This is after a few iterations, of course, but it influenced the final design and animation of the piece. So this is what we'll be breaking down. But first and foremost, I want to go through my actual Cinema 4D file and just look how I have things set up. So generally, like, this is how I will set it up. I got my library, my geometry, and my scene going. Inside library, I have materials, instances, archive, and models. I'll get into instances in archive in a little bit. Inside my geo, I just have my working geometry that I'm using. And inside my scene, I usually set things up between set, we got lights, camera, and I'll start naming them set 1, 2, lights 1, 2, camera 1, 2. And that's because if I am using takes, it's very easy to look at these takes. So I would name it something accordingly, depending on what I'm doing. For now, 1 is fine. So if I were to be in this scene, you can see that all of these with the stoplights that are turned green are what is in this take and being recorded in here. But if I switch it to O2, like you can see, I have all the 2s set to green, and my geometry changed a bit. So I'm always utilizing takes now. It actually took me a while to get into it, but I'm realizing now that it's so powerful, especially if you're working in really, really heavy scenes. Then you don't have to take up a lot of space on your computer. It's a really great way to work. I went ahead and already created what we needed for this project, and that's just this super simple stack of paper right here. So I have a cube that's inside of a cloner that has a step effector affecting the rotation and position of this stack right here. I quickly realized when I was making this that this was not what I wanted. I wanted to be able to have more organic flowing paper with the ability to change the rotation and bends of it pretty fluently. So what I ended up doing was making this editable and kind of moving things by hand. But before I get into that, I just want to show you how I would generally approach this. So I would make a copy of this paper's VO1, and I would just put this into the archive folder in case I needed to go back, because you never know, like, you may be really deep into this project and you're on like version 22 of this or whatever, and your creative director comes back and they're like, wait a minute, I actually liked version 2. So can you go back? And then you have to like stumble through all of your files trying to find it. And it's just a really easy way to be able to quickly move through your project and efficiently start working again if you need to make changes. So I always have an archive folder. I think it's best practices. I think people will love you if you're handing this project off to someone, and that's how I always work. So let's actually move on. From here, I would make this editable, but I also want to say you should definitely change this instance mode from instance back to, or set it to render instance, because it defaults at instance. And what this is going to do is if I hit C, which is making this editable, it's creating instances that are referencing this original cube right here. And it actually makes me really sad when people don't work this way, because it just makes their life so much harder, because it goes so much slower, especially if you're working with very heavy objects in your scene. Obviously this is not heavy at all, it's just a cube, but just for sake of showing you guys. And I'll definitely go a step further from this. I feel like a lot of people just leave this here. this original reference cube, but I feel like it's kind of best to hide that, because if you're going through something, say this stack, and you're like, I really don't like this one right here, I'm gonna delete it. And then you end up deleting the entire stack because your reference is actually deleted. That's not good. So I will usually just make a copy of one of these instances. I'll parent that underneath this cube, and I will reset the PSR. And if you don't have this anywhere docked in your workspace, you can just hit Shift-C and then type in reset PSR and click that. So yeah, I'm just gonna bring that out and I'll name that cube 0. And with this cube, technically, I can go hide this off somewhere in space, but what I like to do is I just bring this into my instances in my library, and now it's already out of the way because I have this hidden. You can definitely go a step further and take your library and you can lock it. So then you won't even click on it at all. You can't make that mistake of deleting something, but I usually don't keep that locked just because I'm always in and out of this folder. All right, so as promised, I'm going to go over this, a few of these textures. Really, they're all the same thing. It's just like this emissive plastic glassy texture that's giving it this nice kind of sheen and ethereal look to it. So let's see. I'm going to actually just put our render region on so this can run a bit quicker. Let's see, maybe right here is good. Okay, so let's open this up. Open my node editor, and this is how it was built. So basically, it's extremely simple. I don't think I changed much in here. There's a little bit of dispersion on it to give it some kind of chromatic dispersion on it. Index is the same. Let's see, I have a little bit of roughness being piped in because without that it's still doing something, but the roughness is definitely giving it a bit more of that emissive texture. The gradient that's piping into the reflection and transmission is giving it this this purpley color. So if I were to remove this white, you can see really what it's doing. But the white is kind of controlling that a little bit. But mainly it's this scattering medium with this black body emission plugged into it. So if I were to actually unplug this black body emission, you can see that there's really not much going on here. And that's because there is obviously no emission. So when I plug that back in, it gives this like this really nice emissive color coming out of the sides of this one right here in the corner that you can see. Let's see. It's actually doing the same right here on these corners. And I think it just gives it like a really nice touch. You can adjust how much you want this emissive texture to come out of by adjusting this density right here. Obviously you don't want to make this really super high, because when you do that it just makes this really ugly texture. So you want to keep it fairly low. I don't think I really had any more crazy complex things in here. There was a few. I guess this one's a little crazy. This is just, it looks like I have just like a normal paper texture going on with, let's see, like 2 different textures piping in to the diffuse, and it's being controlled by an image texture of some digital dots. Let's see, and then we have a second material piping into this main material. So it's giving it this emissive, I believe it's this guy right here. so the emissive color is coming through it, but we're also seeing this like paper texture. So it was a lot of fun to work on. I feel like I was just fudging the textures together and trying to make something cool, and ended up looking really sweet. So I'm pretty happy with this. And again, I don't want to spend too much time. You can build these, I'm sure, the same way in Redshift. I just actually started using Redshift, so I'm not even really familiar with Octane anymore, so it's kind of funny to talk about now. But yeah, super fun to work on. Thank you guys for listening, and hopefully you guys can try some stuff like this. This next project I'm going to be talking about is this Backstories project. It was so fun to work on, lots of fun character explorations, lots of funky patterns, and it was a huge learning experience for me because I had never really designed characters to this extent. So I'm going to be breaking down how I got here from start to finish, talking about reference and where I got inspired by these, because a lot of them were actually from real life things and people that I had met or experienced in real life. So without further ado, I guess we can move into that, and I will start by explaining how I find my reference. Alright, so before we start this, I just want to talk about reference, and I'm not talking about going on Instagram or Behance and finding reference that is, or character design that's already been made. I'm actually talking about going and finding something that is outside of what you're doing. So for me, that's typically looking at fine arts, because fine arts to me is very interpretive. So for example, this vessel. If I were to look at this, like what I see is, I see a body, I see a neck, I see some shoulders, and I see some hips. And to me, that's a great reference because it leaves to my imagination what the rest of the character will look like, and I won't be influenced by someone else's designs that's already been made. So always looking at fine arts. I love looking at fashion just for the materiality of things, and the silhouettes are great. Character poses, obviously. This is a great place to start, and typically where I end up. But I'm gonna go ahead and pull a mood board together, and we can break down what I found. All right, so here's some images that I threw together. I got some character design, let's see, fine arts, fashion, furniture, some stuff I saw outside that really inspired me, and I just want to say that you should be really finding images that speak to you, and I think honestly you should try to get off the computer as much as possible. There's just so much inspiration that you can see, like when you're not confining yourself to a box, quite literally. So I like to go outside and try to be observant to the things around me. I'm actively looking for ideas outside. Like for example, I saw this like weird statue with really strange legs that I really liked. And I saw this light pole that I was like, this could be an interesting shape for a neck or some legs. I might even make the character's legs look something like this today. Even like reading books, do certain words resonate with you? Can you use that to describe a character? Colors, do they make you feel a certain way? Like go to a museum, go see things, take pictures of them, and use these unique experiences in your work, because that's what's gonna make your work unique. I guess it's like training your eyes to see things differently. Like when we were kids and we would look up at the clouds and we'd see like animal shapes. It's like training our brains to get back to that. And just, you know, to talk about Instagram again, it's like, it's so trendy. There's just so much stuff. It's so saturated that it's very hard to make something unique when you're just copying the same thing over and over again and changing one little thing. I feel like that's mostly what's happening nowadays, but yeah, so like just get off the computer, give your eyes a break, start making things and finding new inspiration. So With that said, I guess I'm going to jump in and start making this character. I'm not sure what it's gonna look like, but I just want to show how easy it is to start iterating in Cinema 4D. Okay, let's finally start making something. I think it would be a great idea to maybe give Sam a girlfriend of some sort, because he's lonely. So you can see, like, it was super easy to make this. We just got a cylinder going on, a deformer on the cylinder to bend the arms. Let's see, some more cylinders. This was a capsule with a bowl shape. Got him his little hat going on that I think I just did some quick extruding on. His hands are probably the most complicated thing out of everything, but even that is really not that complicated. I can show you here. It's literally just a tube with some subdivisions and having them extruded. And obviously this is not like very proper if you were to go animate this, but it was great for designing it. Okay, so I think it would be nice to actually give her a skirt or something. So I'm gonna start with a sphere. I'm gonna bring it down a lot. That's looking good, and we're gonna keep this amount of segments in it. I'm just gonna select U, which brings up my hotkeys, and L, that's gonna make a loop selection, and then fill in this bottom guy by hitting UF. And here's the start of our skirt. So we can drop that into a subdivision surface, and you can see here that this is not proper topology at all. This is not usually how I work, but for sake of time, I'm just going to keep this and try to adjust this accordingly. Let's see, if I bring that up a little bit, that might get rid of that. We can start adjusting this guy a little bit. But that looks pretty nice for a skirt. I'm not too mad about that. I might just bring that out a bit, like that. It's not looking too bad, and we can always go in and fix this anyway. But the main thing I want to get across is how easy and fast it is to use Cinema to start sketching ideas in 3D. Generally, I start this way. I try to sketch things, but I'm not great at drawing, so I usually just jump right into 3D, and this is how I start doing it. So I am going to bring out our mesh right here by clicking this right here, and now I have this toolbox. So I'm going to use extrude to give this a thickness. There's other ways that you can do this. But this is the way that I like to do it. Let's see, so I brought that out. I'm going to switch views so I can see what I'm doing. Something like that looks good. And you want to make sure that your caps are checked on in the extrude. But also, now we have this problem where the normals are reversed. So what we need to do is go into mesh, normals, reverse normals. Cool. So yeah, now we have our skirt. It's got some thickness to it. It's looking pretty good. I'm actually going to add another subdivision right here. Yeah, so that's not looking too bad. Let's start making, actually let's name this skirt and bring that into geometry. We'll move our character to archive, and let's bring that up there because that's where the skirt will be. So for the arms, let's actually get a tube. Let's bring this tube down, bring that up. Let's change the orientation to X. Something like that is looking pretty good. Let's get this to 10 and then 8 maybe. It's looking good. I'm gonna hide this character in library. In archive, bring this tube and rename this arm. Let's see. Okay, let's get rid of our height segments and we can start making this. So I'm gonna say for the height, maybe something about 65 would be good. And from here, I'm going to, again, for good practices, make a copy of this and put this into archive, just in case we need to go back. I'm gonna make it editable from here by clicking C, and I'm going to switch into my front view, and I'm gonna move the axis because I want to put this into a symmetry object. So from here, again, let's just move our axis, okay? And I'm going to zero out the X. So now when I bring this into a symmetry object, it's able to find that and use this axis right here to flip it. So we got our arms going. One thing that I know is not going to be right is the fact that there is some topology right here. So when I put this into a subdivision surface, this gets all messed up. So, and that's because of these polygons right here. So I'm gonna delete these because we don't need them. So now when I drop it into our symmetry object, and I'm gonna clamp points on axis and delete polygons on axis, when I turn our subdivision surface back on, it's all connected and good. So the next step would be to add some subdivisions to this. So let's do that. Let's see, I'm gonna add about 6 of them, 7, 8. 8 sounds good. So I'll do it to the inside and the outside. And that's looking good. Add a little bit right there. And then maybe one more on the edge. But I'm gonna turn this quantized subdivision to like 5. And make sure I do the same thing on this side so it's even. And something like that is looking pretty good. The next thing I'm gonna do is drop this into a bend. I'm gonna turn symmetry off just so we can see. I'm gonna name all of these arm. So let's put a bend on this guy. Fit to parent. Let's keep our y-axis length, and right away you're gonna see that this is all messed up. And that's because we need to rotate this bend. So let's rotate that 90 degrees and then fit to parent again. And now we got our arms going. But I'm going to adjust this size a bit and move this to about right here. Turn that back on. Let's see. I think this needs to be even smaller. Let's turn our snapping back off. Okay. I think that's looking pretty good. So our symmetry was made down here. So I'm gonna actually move our axis back up so I can move this and not have to scroll out. Let's see. All right, these arms are looking good for sake of time. I'm not gonna spend any more time on this. Let's just plop a little, actually I believe it was, let's put a tube in here for the little collar that she had, or he had, to change the height, maybe something like that. Okay. I'm gonna name this neck, drag that into Geo, and let's make the head. Capsule. I just like to use primitive objects for the most part if I'm just making some quick stuff. Okay, that's looking pretty okay. I am not mad about this. Let's start making this leg that I brought in here. So I don't even know if this is gonna look good, but we can just try it for sake of trying it. Let's start with a sphere. So let's start making this. So I got a sphere. 12 is probably good. We can adjust that again. Let's make another copy of this by dragging and clicking Control. Change this to like 25, maybe. And let's drag another guy from here. Actually, I'm just gonna make a copy of this, and then I'm going to hit plus 25 in the Y. So now these are equally spaced. I got my spheres. I'm going to actually connect objects and delete. You can also go into this by right-clicking and scrolling down here to connect objects and delete. From here, let's just delete these polygons, and I'm gonna do that with a loop selection. And then we can just like combine them or something. So let's do that. Make a loop selection and drag this up. And then what we can do for this is, I believe if we select both of these and hit stitch and sew, yep, we can connect those guys. So let's do the same thing for this. Select both of these and, oops, well first I want to extrude this, and then I want to select both of these and do a stitch and sew. That is not right. That's okay, there we go. So now what that was doing was connecting the geometry. So if I were to put this into a subdivision surface, you can see what's happening. This I'm not entirely happy with, but let's figure it out. What I think I want is these two guys to be bigger. Let's lock our Y and then make them bigger by pulling out once we hit T. All right, so that's pretty funky. I'm into that. Let's see what it looks like if we actually bring it in here. We'll name that leg, bring it in here. Let's also put a symmetry object on this so we can kind of visualize what we're doing. And then I'm going to actually group this, call this leg, and I'm going to bring this up again, the axis up, and we'll put it here. Okay, let's rotate this a little bit. Something like that, maybe. Oh, I don't know how I feel about this. This is looking kind of strange. I feel like if I were to do this, she would not have a skirt on. Like, she just looks very disproportionate right now, and I think maybe we can get over that by, oh god, making them a little bit smaller, maybe? No, this is not right. Let's see. She is very thick. You know, I tried, and sometimes you fail. Okay, I have an idea. Okay, you know what? Let's just, we're gonna scratch this. We're gonna scratch this idea, and we're gonna start from scratch. Okay. Let's actually make some legs, and I'm gonna do this by using a simple cylinder, and we're gonna use those, that weird shape as like leg warmers or something. So let's just do the same thing. Let's give her some chunky legs, something like that. Oop, turn my snapping off, maybe something like that. Okay, that's looking good. Let's use that funky shape to make some leg warmers. So I'm gonna take a sphere, maybe something like this. Let's make it editable, and I'm gonna squash it down to like 70% or something, and then okay, yeah, this is interesting. We can definitely use this shape here. I was getting a little insecure for a second. I'm gonna zero these guys out, okay? And let's move this down about 20%-ish. Okay, I'm gonna hide this guy so I can't see it. And now let's connect these by hitting this again. Let's select these faces and get rid of them, and now they're on the inside. Oh! Alright. Okay, there we go. So now those are all deleted. I'm actually going to delete this too, because we don't need that right now. Turn this back on, and I'm going to select this, and I'm going to bring this up, and let's do that stitch and sew like that. It's looking pretty good. Let's drop this in a subdivision. Cool. Now we got some leg warmers. I feel like I'm gonna give her rollerblades. Not now because I don't have time, but I think she deserves some rollerblades. Let's see. Yeah, make that a little bit smaller. Let's start extruding this, and we'll just make like a little tiny top to this. And I'm just extruding this. It's really easy to just make different shapes in Cinema super quickly to get your idea across, and that's hopefully what you're getting from this. Cool. That's looking pretty good. I don't know what I'm gonna do for feet. So I am just going to like bring these down and make a weird shoe or something. Cause I'm gonna give her some rollerblades eventually, but I do not have time for that. So we'll just make these like super long, and they're like covering her feet or something. Cool. And again, I'm just hitting Control and like dragging it in. Let's close this and add our cuts back in. Okay. All right, we got some, I don't know, could be a leg warmer, it could be a weird sock boot thing. But okay, I'm pretty happy with it. I think I might change that a little bit. Yep. All right, that's looking okay for now. Let's name this leg or shoe, boot. I don't even know what that is. This is a leg. Can name this whole group leg, and then from here, I'm gonna move the axis to the top right here again. So I'm just gonna hit L, turn my snapping on, and drag that guy up there. Cool, so let's bring that up. Looking pretty interesting. I just noticed I didn't put any subdivisions on this leg. And so I'm gonna hide this guy, and let's just add some subdivisions there. let's see. Okay, so now I think I'm going to put a shear on this, and I'm gonna fit this to the leg as a parent, but I'm gonna bring it back out here. And looks like I need to rotate it. And okay, something like that. And let's get rid of the curvature. And now she has a little bit of a power stance, so that's what I'm liking. And I definitely want to put this in a subdivision so I can have the other leg. I mean, not the subdivision, the symmetry. Cool. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this right here. I am very into these boots. Maybe I won't even make them rollerblades. They kind of look like condoms, but that's okay. Okay, so for sake of time, I just went ahead and grabbed hair that I've already modeled, but I just want to show you how simple it is, really. It's pretty much just a sphere. Like I start from a sphere a lot, so you can see that this was maybe a sphere with like 8 subdivisions or something. And then I deleted faces of it and just extruded like I've been doing. And yeah, so I'm just gonna leave this here for now. I'm gonna make this into an actual character and change her hair up a bit. I think we need some more diverse characters, but let me drag that in here. Let's rename these legs. Let's see, what else can I show you today? Maybe we need to rotate this hair a little bit. She's got a massive forehead. It's not looking too bad. I'm pretty happy with it. Let's see what it looks like next to our Sam character. I'm gonna rename him Sam. Oh, she's very tiny. That's better. Okay, now they look a little better. Okay, let me show you how I made her mouth, or his mouth, actually. So what I'm gonna do here is, let's actually take his mouth shape, and I'll show you how I made this. It's very simple. Let me go in here, head, mouth, spine. I'm gonna make a copy of this. I'm gonna turn him back off so we can't see him. Reset this PSR. Cool, so here's our mouth. And all it is it's just a spline. So, you know, I'm not even gonna change the way it looks. Let's put it in an extrude. Oops. Here we go. And that is obviously way too long. Let's change this to like 10, no, not even 10, like 3. And I'm also gonna change my spline to uniform. That's looking good, okay. I'm going to parent this to the head just so it brings it up here. You can already see how this is gonna start looking, which is exciting. I'm just gonna bring this out of here quickly so I can hide this and we can just look at this while we're working. So how I did this was with a bool. I dropped the head in the bool and then I put the mouth in here. Let's see. Oh. Actually, how we wanted it to be was the head first and then the mouth inside of our bool. And then we have our Boolean type set to A subtract B. But obviously this needs way more subdivision, so I'm going to just crank that up a bit. maybe to 64, 20, and put a few here. That's looking okay. Obviously this is not proper topology at all. This is not okay for animation, even for putting textures on this, but this is fine for now. So we got our head here, and I am just going to make a copy of this bowl, and I'm going to name this teeth. Let me hide this head real quick, and then we're just gonna be changing our Boolean type. So now, I don't remember what it is. A intersects B. So here we have what would be our teeth. So turn that back on. It looks like it's not doing anything, and that is because we need to move our teeth. And again, it looks like I forgot to center this to our mouth. So shame on me. I'm just gonna bring this up and put it here. Cool. So now it looks like we got a mouth going on. And you can see here, this is how it was. So if I want to change this, I obviously can just move this mouth. That's interesting. Just needs to be brought out. There we go. It's looking pretty good. Pretty happy with this. So I'm just gonna drag that back into here, and yeah, so this really took me no time to create this character. From here, obviously it's not finished yet, needs a mouth and eyes, but you know, that's super easy. It's just another primitive. From here, I would go and start finessing it and like making proper topology and giving some special details to it, like how I did on James's character, how we had a zipper and just some nice funky glasses, and really trying to give this character some personality. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this part of it. Hopefully I didn't go too fast, but if you guys want to reach out to me on social media or email me, I am happy to answer any questions. Like, I seriously love doing this. So thank you guys for watching. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching my presentation. I really hope that you got something out of it. And Maxon, thank you so much for having me. It's always a blast working with you guys. Very, very happy that we were still able to do this virtually. Still sad that we can't be together drinking beers till 2 a.m., but hopefully that'll happen again soon. So if you guys want to get in contact with me, you can reach me at my handle above, at Bree Made Me Do It. Feel free to message me really about anything. I'm happy to talk. So yeah, stay well, you guys, and I will see you next time. So bye.